This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by former world champion Darren Barker here in Belfast. Darren, you've had a couple of weeks over here in Ireland, obviously down south and now up north. But here we are, Michael Conlan, Jordan-Gill. First of all, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. I love these parts. I've got fond memories of Belfast. My old amateur club, Repton, we used to come out here every single year and fight the Dockers Club. So it was one leg here, one leg back in London. Always been treated well here. A lot of respect for the Belfast fans and fighters, and yeah, just always a buzz coming back here. I've got good vibes, good memories, and shared good times here with my brother. So yeah, I like the place.
Saturday night, Michael Conlan, Jordan-Gill. A lot of people seem to be sleeping on Jordan-Gill. Darren, Michael Conlan's expected to do a bit of a number on him. Do you think it's not necessarily a little bit disrespectful somewhat?
Yes, to a degree. I do favour Conlan, if I'm honest, but I wouldn't be shocked. It's one of those. Jordan's a very good fighter in full flow. He's a joy to watch. But the way Kiko got rid of him, which is, look, there's no bad sort of, Kiko's able to do that to a lot. If he catches you, he's going to hurt you. A huge puncher. But Girthy wasn't looking brilliant. He would need the fight of his life, I feel. Conlan, I think, is a very good fighter. Funny, the question, is it a good time to fight him? I probably think it's a bad time to fight him. Because if you're Michael Conlan, you're looking back at your two defeats, you'd be like, well, look, I've been beaten by a nightmare. Lopez is an absolute headache. He's a nightmare of a fighter. And a very hard person to train for. In patches there, was doing well, but was caught. And I mean, the Lee Wood, that was my highlight of last year. Just unreal, tremendous atmosphere.
Highlight over Joe Cordina knocking out Haney-Prograis?
Just, I think it's the whole package, the drama, the atmosphere, yes. But knockout of the year was, for me, Cordina, because I've watched it out. I'm not joking. It's the knockout I've watched most, and I've watched a lot of knockouts. So yeah, I think Michael can look back and think, do you know what? I was on the cuffs of being a world champion. So I think he really believes, and rightly so, he's world class, because we know for a fact Lee Wood is world class. So yeah, for me, Jordan would need the performance of his life. He really would, and have to roll back the years somewhat, which is crazy because he's not an old man. But I think you could look at his career and think perhaps his best days are behind him. But boxing serves up some funny dishes sometimes, and this certainly could be one of them. You just don't know, but the atmosphere for sure is going to be electric in there.
As we mentioned, the likes of Lee Wood and Joe Cordina, I know there's a lot of talk of the Lee Wood Josh Warrington rematch taking place. Michael Conlan obviously would like to face Lee Wood. Asked him earlier though about a potential fight with Joe, if he'd be interested, and he said if it was to come up and if the Wood fight couldn't happen 100%, would you like to see maybe a Cordina-Conlan fight?
Yeah. I mean, look, all the names there, you put them in a hat, you pick them out, you're going to be happy with the fight, aren't you? You know, really good fighters, all bring a different style into the fights, and I think they'd all gel. We've seen already with some of them that they've just been unbelievable. So I think if you're in and around these divisions right now, you're in a good position, because there's huge fights. And that's what you want. That keeps the juices flowing when you're at this stage of your career, like all of those lads are. You want to be competing against the best. You want to be in there in meaningful fights. So yeah, I'm sure any of those guys would fight one another.
Last week, Darren Katie Taylor gained her revenge over Chantal Cameron. A close fight, one that she had her hand raised in. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was an unbelievable night. It was incredible. The atmosphere for me, right? So Wood Conlan was the highlight of 2022. The atmosphere was something else. This atmosphere was louder. It was mental. It was a credit to watch. It was I was impressed with Katie early because, if I'm deadly honest, and I think this probably showed in my commentary as well, I wasn't expecting it from Katie. I wasn't. And I just found myself kind of... I was looking at Chantel Cameron thinking she should be doing such and such, but almost applauding what Katie was doing because I just wasn't expecting it. I didn't feel she had that in her locker, and that's crazy saying it because it's Katie Taylor, you know, a trailblazer, an icon, a legend in the female game. But she did. I mean, I remember watching her at the media workout thinking, I didn't believe that someone who's, you know, aging and at the twilight of their career could seemingly get faster. Her hands seemed quicker, and we see that on the night. It was just, it was incredible. A few regrets, didn't pick up on there was a lot of holding at the end. The clash of heads was never intentional, but they come together. But generally, I mean, what a fight, what an atmosphere. It was just an honour to be involved in that. And yeah, I think Irish boxing with this show here is looking really, really good. Conlan, if he was to get past Jordan-Gill, I mean, Croke Park's mentioned, what a fight.
One of the other big talking points from last week was it a knockdown? In your eyes, Darren, was it a knockdown?
Yeah, looking back, it definitely was. During the fight, it happened so quickly, so wasn't sure. And then I was looking at my monitor. Andy picked up on it anyway. Andy Lee said it was a knockdown. Looked at my monitor and they showed the clip right at the very end of the minute. And even then, I didn't catch it well enough. So at the time, I wasn't 100% sure. There was no complaints from Chantel as to say I've landed. So I just assumed, oh, maybe. But looking back, yeah, it was definitely a knockdown. And look, I had Katie winning the fight. Would that have made a difference? Who knows? Like, one thing I've made very sure is I don't like scoring fights when I'm doing commentary. I just like to sit there and commentate on what I'm seeing, pros and cons for both. How can one another beat each other? What should both fighters be doing? And when you're scoring, it takes sometimes you concentrate on who's winning the round. It sounds mad, but yeah, who knows what would have happened if that had been scored or knocked down. But look, it's all I guess will lead to an unreal trilogy. It's got to happen, right?
Trilogy over the Serrano rematch.
Yeah, for sure. If I was Katie Taylor, I would fight Chantel again, and then potentially Serrano. I don't think that will happen though. She's got good people around her, Katie, but she's a fighter. She just loves to fight. Don't think. I think she's going to be around for a bit longer. That's just me. I think there's going to be people saying to her, stop, but I don't think she's going to want to stop.
Darren, just away from these recent fights, get your thoughts on some upcoming bouts next weekend. Devin Haney, Regis-Prograis. Everybody's been talking even more so since we saw the face-off release, the pair of them going back and forth. What do you expect to see go down in San Francisco?
Haney points. Yeah, I think just too quick. He will use the momentum of Prograis coming forward to his benefit. Don't get me wrong, Prograis is going to be in there. He's going to be there for every second of every round. I don't believe Haney stops him, but yeah, like I say, he will be there, really forcing the pace, forcing the action. But I just think the hand speed, the skill, the know-how, the exits, the defence from Haney, which I expect to be tighter, will be the difference, and I think he wins on points.
The week after in Arizona, we travel over to see Bam Rodriguez and Sonny Edwards again, another fantastic fight everyone's talking about down at flyweight. What do you expect to see?
I mean, this is as 50-50 as can be, I think. Some would maybe rubbish that because Bam is so good. I appreciate so much both of their footworks. Sonny on the back foot, the way he can shimmy with his feet, feint left, go right, and vice versa, and make you look silly. He's almost one of them. He can make you fall through the ropes. And Bam on the front foot, just the way, he does those little skips either left or right like Lomachenko, sort of creating further angles. His variation, the power certainly lies with Bam. toss of a coin. You know, I'm rooting for our guy. I hope he does well. But anything could happen in that one. I mean, what a fight. I tell you, the guy I've been having best conversations with that is Barry Jones. Barry Jones cannot wait for that fight. He's going out there, the lucky sod. Yeah, me and him have been going back and forth with it. It's a brilliant fight. One that I think a real boxing purist appreciates.
Week after that, a bit of a journey over to Saudi Arabia. Anthony Joshua-Wallin headline the Day of Reckoning card. A tough fight for AJ. A lot of people have said outside of a boxing world he might not get the credit for an Wallin fight, but Wallin obviously gave Tyson Fury a very difficult night's work. He's coming in back with a bit of momentum, a great win against Murat Gassiev recently. How difficult of a challenge is this for Anthony Joshua?
Very tough. You know, sorry, I think I spat on you then. Good amateur pedigree as well, Wallin, that he brings. That he brought into the pro game, so he's got those fundamentals there. He's got that know-how, and we've seen it against Fury and against others. He's a very good fighter. He's no nonsense. He is 100% a potential banana skin. With, you know, if you want to see this as 2 semi-finals, he's a very much of a banana skin, as is Joseph Parker. I mean, look, Simon Keane is no Deontay Wilder, but flipping it, he looked good, didn't he? I thought he looked really good. I talked about Katie Taylor's hands sharpening up. I thought Joe Parker's hands were razor sharp. Solid puncher. What a show! What a show! I'm out there, which, yeah, the kids are a little bit worried about, and the missus, but I'm just buzzing to be there. To witness that, because that's a nutty show. And, you know, Bivol, Opataya on the undercard, it's nuts, absolute nuts. But I'm all for it. If we're going to keep getting mammoth shows like this a couple of times a year, bring it on.
What do you expect to see in the AJ and Wallin fight, and how much of an influence you feel Ben Davison will bring into that camp now?
Yeah, look, do you know what? I don't know. I've said this before, that in some weird way, AJ's a harder fighter to beat now. Definitely not as exciting as which some people are unhappy about. But look at the way he finished Helenius. You know, it was a bit nip and tuck, but he hardly got caught with much. He's keeping things at range, using his hand speed and his boxing know-how, but a lot more thought in his work. I miss the old AJ way of fighting, if I'm honest. But I think as an opponent could be more difficult to beat. I think he gets the job done. I think he's going to have to come through some scary moments, perhaps. It may be a bit of a chess match at times, but I feel like he'll get through it and do his part. That is to win on the night, and then it'll be over to Wilder v Parker.
And then just a final one, moving into early next year, Artur Beterbiev and Callum Smith. Everybody keeps saying, is the timing right? Question to you, Darren. Is the timing perfect now for Callum Smith?
I'm going to say that Callum Smith chins him. Yeah, I'm going to say time's right. I'm going to get slaughtered on here. But I don't know, he's looked a little vulnerable. And the first thing that goes on a fighter is your punch resistance. I think he's a bigger puncher. Moving up to light heavy is Callum Smith. We see that at White Hart Lane, didn't we? Flipping heck. What a knockout that was. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, if the opposite was to happen, one, I would expect to be looking silly, but I wouldn't be shocked. You know, what a ridiculous puncher he is. He's a freak of nature, Beterbiev. But yeah, I just think he's going to get caught, and Callum Smith is, this is no disrespect as well, he's a better fighter than Yard. You know, a bigger puncher in my opinion as well. He's more accurate, he's quicker, and yeah. It's one of those, like, it is a toss of a coin. It could be who hits who first, but I really, really believe that Beterbiev's resistance around the whiskers is starting to fade a little bit, and that's a bad thing to be losing against Callum Smith.
Just a final one on that fight.
Who do you think, by the way? I like flipping these sometimes. And
yeah,
the interviewer who they think.
I lean towards Callum as well because I agree with what you said. I think.
Right. And do you believe this fight doesn't go the distance?
Oh, 100%. That somebody's getting absolutely knocked out in that fight. I think maybe between 6 to 9, somebody would get stopped, and I slightly favour Callum because of timing being right. But just the final thing I was going to bring up. People look at Artur Beterbiev as maybe being the hardest, heaviest-handed fighter in the world at the minute. For a number of years, people looked at Gennady Golovkin as being that man. Both have unbelievable chins, or had throughout their career. Who do you think, in their pomp, would have been heavier-handed, Golovkin or Beterbiev?
That is a question.
Who would you least like to take a punch from?
Well, Beterbiev because he's heavier, but I think pound for pound. Oh, I don't know. Honestly, that's a brilliant question. I don't know. I was just about to say Golovkin because Golovkin, first 25, 30 fights, wrecking ball, but then so was Beterbiev. I genuinely cannot answer that question. That is a toss of a coin. But you got to put that in the comments there. Surely, who's a bigger, heavier-handed, pound for pound in their prime, Beterbiev or Golovkin? That's a cracker.
That'll be one for the fans to answer in the comments there, and I'll leave it in there for them. Darren, always a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your time here in Belfast, and thanks for speaking to me.
Nice one, mate. Cheers.